Rudy Giuliani, mayor on September 11th, 2001. He'd been mayor for a number of years before that, but that day, wow, even his detractors thought he was the best mayor in the history of the country. He provided amazing leadership for a city that desperately needed it. The legacy of a lifetime, really, in my book. Rudy Giuliani, one of my favorites, joins us once again. You can catch him on the radio every single day, coast to coast. He's WABC here in New York. Mr. Mayor, welcome back to Newsmax. How's it going?
Nice to be back, Greg. I guess it's going okay, given the challenges that we're facing, right? We're all kind of locked in, and we're all anxious to see things reopen. And it seems like there's one problem after another. But other than that, I'm always optimistic that we're going to get there.
Optimistic as well, but I'm a little frustrated at the same time. Some of the things that are you too. Okay, so let's start with I think something we're both frustrated by: the closing of some beaches and some facilities that probably don't need to be closed. Or maybe you disagree with me. Maybe that you think that they. How do you feel about the closing of these public beaches and some that are being kept open?
I think it's a terrible mistake. I think that, first of all, let's just from a practical point of view and then a legal point of view. Practical point of view, people need to get out. They need to get out in the air. They will, if properly dealt with and not pushed around and bullied around, they will comply with the six-foot rule and the masking rule. And okay, a few people won't, but most people will. I've seen that. I was in Central Park this weekend, the weekend before. I went up to the Bronx this weekend. So most people are complying. You can never expect 100% compliance with anything. And I think it would be better psychologically. I think it would be better even from the point of view of overall health. If people had a chance to get out. I mean, you've had all these people cooped up at home for 6 weeks, is it? And I don't think we realize the heavy price we're going to pay for that. When we look back at the suicides, the number of illnesses that weren't treated, for a while it seemed like the only thing that the hospital would pay attention to was COVID-19. Guy could be having a heart attack and get online.
So look, I mean, after 9/11, I remember you were shouldering a burden. You really were, and you were truly leading. I look at some of these governors and some of these mayors, and I sense that they see an opportunity here to increase their political stock. They're enjoying the limelight. They're enjoying the coverage. And they're exerting power, perhaps, as you say, unlawfully.
Well, I'm looking at some of these pictures, and they really frighten me. There was a picture this weekend in California of a group of really decent Americans. They had flags. They want some opening, a little bit of freedom back again. And the governor had police officers in riot gear in front of the mansion. I mean, that's ridiculous. Newsom has got to be out of his mind. Police officers in riot gear, as if these people are some kind of violent mob. And then he closed down the beaches in Orange County. It's the least affected county in the southern part of California. Los Angeles, San Diego, San Bernardino, much more. But it's the most Republican county. So, I mean, this is ridiculous to play these games in the middle of this. You heard the mayor of Chicago, who went nuts on her people. She's going to arrest them all for not social distancing. And then she got caught going to get a haircut for herself and said it was okay because she has to look good and be hygienic.
Hey, so don't forget the governor of Illinois.
Can look like slobs, right? I mean,
yeah.
What about everybody else in Chicago? They also want a haircut. And they'd also like to be hygienic, not just you, Mayor.
It was.
And then we got the guy in New York.
Who
he can't make a right decision. I mean, he must be fated to make wrong decisions all the time.
Oh, de Blasio?
Yeah, I mean, he ends up lecturing the Jewish community that he's going to have them arrested and summoned if they don't observe social distancing because they didn't do it at a funeral. And then you find a picture of him a day before or a day after with about 200 people all next to each other, arms entwined, no social distancing. He and his wife are in front, and they have no mask on. So, I mean, if the police have to arrest people for not social distancing, and they got to arrest people having masks on. They got to stop. The mayor better turn himself in.
All right. I don't think that's going to happen, but I
don't think it's going to happen either. And that's
I would love it. I would love it to
saying,
happen, or maybe even if he just turned himself in, they actually arrested him. Listen, to point out, you are one of the president's personal attorneys. I think you've been representing him well. By the way, I think you did amazing work over there in Ukraine. It's amazing how much of the media thought they could cover this story from laptops in Brooklyn. You were actually going over there and learning material firsthand, seeing material firsthand. But I want to bring you to General Flynn. Former National Security Advisor. We all know the case is a sham. We have evidence now that the FBI was trying to set him up, that they intimidated him over the Logan Act, which is a farce. But so far, he hasn't been exonerated. There was all kinds of vibration that was going to happen last week. It hasn't happened yet. What's happening?
Well, right now it's in front of the court. Actually, I recorded an interview with Andy McCarthy today. That'll be on my podcast tomorrow or Thursday, rudyscommonsense.com. Andy is a former assistant U.S. attorney who tried many, many cases, including the Blind Shake, a great lawyer. And his analysis and mine, he used to work for me, so we kind of played prosecutor again, is this case is a travesty. I mean, there was no crime. The crime was organized by the FBI. Flynn committed no crime. When they went to see him, he had committed no crime. And they asked him a question they knew the answer to trick him. They had the tape recording of the answer in their briefcase. If they had any interest in investigating this, and, I've investigated 1,000 cases, you'd ask him, did you talk to the Russian ambassador about sanctions? Gee, I don't remember. Well, General, let me show you this tape recording. You're talking about sanctions. Now, why did you do that? And who told you to do it? And what? But no, they keep it in their briefcase. They go back to the FBI headquarters, and they put it away. And then they conclude he wasn't lying.
Now, the
other agents conclude that he wasn't lying.
Mr. Mayor, I got to jump in. We're running a little bit out of time. I was hoping that he would have been exonerated by now. It hasn't happened. Let me just ask you this.
It's going to happen. It'll happen.
All right. I do believe COVID-19 is serious. It's real. We got to do what we have to do.
Of course it's serious and real, but we also have rights.
Yes. Here's my question, though. Do you sense, or better yet, your client, the president, does he sense that there's an element, a political element, that wants to keep this going, to inflict political damage on him and make him vulnerable for the... Yeah.
I can't answer for him, except he's a very intelligent man. I can't, you'd have to be a dope not to realize it. I mean, why is it only the Democratic governors that want to hang on to this power? Why is it that, the governor of California and the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Michigan wants to lock up the whole state? And they go to police powers right away. I mean, you got to do this by consent. You can't take away a person's right to worship and do it with, arrest. Look at the governor of Virginia. That's the guy who's confused about whether you can have an abortion after the baby is born. That guy gave a criminal summons to a minister who had 12 people in a church for a Palm Sunday service, in a church for 255 people. I mean, you give them a warning.
It's astounding.
This is not for police power. And it is beginning to look like something predicted by Lord Acton, who said that socialism always leads to a form of authoritarianism. These people like power, and they like to assert it over you because they think they're smarter than you are. And you better be careful, because if that guy gets out of the basement and we possibly elect him, this is what we could be looking at. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. They're going to be running the show. I mean, Biden doesn't know what he's doing. They will be running the show for him. These people who want to arrest you for social distancing.
So your radio
church.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I got to go, but I want to point out that your radio colleague, Mark Levin, says that people should protest, because if they don't, local governors, local officials will get in the habit of taking away our power, taking away our rights. I thought that was very interesting.
First Amendment of this document says we have the right for peaceful assembly to petition for grievances. We have that right. This isn't controlled by de Blasio. It's not controlled by Trump. It's not controlled by Newsom. This is our right. It belongs to us as American citizens. Come on.
I like
Let's
it.
respect it.
I like
How
it.
about we respect it?
Respect it. And I'm also going to respect that ring. Can you show people that ring, that rock? That I happen to
Let's
know.
get baseball started, Greg. Come on.
That is a World Series ring from the Yankees.
Mets against the Yankees.
Subway Series. That was 2000, right?
Oh, yeah, the best one of my mayoralty.
Totally.
All in New York City. I didn't have to worry about anybody from out of town.
I know you were rooting for the Yankees, though.
I was, but I'm honest, I'm not one of these, two hats, Yankee, Mets. I'm a Yankee fan, and I hope the Mets fans respect me because I like the Mets in the National League, but I'm a Yankee fan.
Me too. Up until baseball reorganization. Then I lost all interest. I really did. I don't know. But I want them to start playing again. Mayor Giuliani, Rudolph Giuliani, real pleasure having you on, as usual. Thank you, sir. All right.
Well, you're terrific. Thanks.
Check out Common Sense Podcast, everybody. Available. Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal attorney.